Hey everyone, ready to journey beyond the five senses?
Oh, absolutely.
Today we're diving deep into L. Marjorie Bezet's 1946 book Beyond the Five Senses,
Oh, classic.
with a foreword by the renowned medium Mrs. Osborne Leonard, no less.
Very cool.
We're going to be exploring telepathy,
Mm-hmm.
clairvoyance,
Right.
and communication
With a-
with those who've passed on.
Ah, fascinating stuff. Buckle up, everyone.
You know what strikes me?
What's that?
Bizet doesn't treat these abilities as,
It's
supernatural or anything.
Like
She
we-
sees them as like
Oh, yeah.
natural extensions of the human mind.
Exactly. It's like we all had these hidden superpowers just waiting to be unlocked.
It's true. Like, have you ever thought of someone and then they call right after?
Oh, all the time?
Or just like,
What?
knew a letter was coming?
I think we all have those moments, yeah.
Bizet dives deep into these everyday examples of telepathy.
She does.
And she's convinced they're more than just coincidence. She has some pretty wild personal stories, too.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
So she describes this time when
Yeah.
she just knew her brother was super distressed.
Hmm.
She even saw him, like, tearing up letters in her mind.
Wow.
Weeks later, a letter arrives confirming it all.
No way.
It's crazy.
And she had other experiences like that.
Oh, tons. She even describes seeing her brother and his wife
Mm-hmm.
in a completely different city.
Right.
Planning a surgery she had no clue about.
Whoa.
And then there's the time she heard her brother calling her name
Yeah.
from miles away.
Seriously.
It makes you wonder, right?
What's that?
How much are we actually tuning out all the time?
That's a good question.
And it seems distance doesn't really matter when it comes to telepathy.
Oh, tell me about it.
Bizet talks about meeting this blind man,
Hmm.
and she's suddenly hit with these super vivid visions of a battlefield.
Intense.
It turns out the man's son had been killed in the war,
Oh, wow.
wearing a trench helmet.
And she saw the helmet
Yeah, it was like the helmet became this conduit.
for the telepathic connection.
Exactly.
It's like those intense emotions amplify the signal somehow.
Right, like grief or worry.
Makes you wonder, are we always surrounded by these psychic ripples?
Totally. But what about intentionally trying to communicate telepathically?
Ah, interesting.
Did Bizet ever experiment with that?
She did, actually.
Yeah.
She found it surprisingly tough.
Really?
Apparently, the most powerful experiences were always spontaneous, not forced.
That makes sense.
Yeah, trying too hard might actually block the flow.
Exactly. But let's talk about telepathy with,
Oh,
with those who've passed on.
Ooh, getting into the good stuff.
Bizet had this experience during the war.
Yeah.
She felt drawn to travel to Bath.
Interesting.
And this is where she talks about sensitives.
Ah.
People who are just more attuned to these subtler realms.
So it's not about magic or anything,
Yep.
just heightened sensitivity.
They have finely tuned antennas, picking up signals most of us miss.
I like that analogy.
So, right before Bath was bombed, she has this vision
Oh,
of her deceased uncle.
whose widow was living there?
Exactly. He seemed troubled,
Hmm.
and she felt it was connected to the impending danger.
Wow. So she was picking up on his worry.
It seems like it, right? She got to Bath just in time to help her aunt escape the bombing.
Chills. That's incredible.
But was it her uncle?
Or a premonition of the bombing itself.
Right. The lines get blurry.
They do.
So, this sensitive thing,
Yeah.
is it something you're born with?
Or can you develop it?
Exactly.
It's a bit of both, actually.
Really?
Bezet believed we all have the potential.
Okay.
But some folks are just naturally inclined, you know?
I can see that.
And it's not like sensitives are constantly bombarded with psychic information.
Right. That would be overwhelming.
Totally. It's more about having a deeper awareness.
And tapping into it when needed.
Exactly. Like learning to use a new muscle.
I like that. But are there downsides?
Downsides.
Could being so sensitive be,
Overwhelming.
Yeah.
Bezet acknowledged that. Definitely.
Okay, so
So-
sensitives can get fatigued.
Absolutely. They need solitude to recharge.
Makes sense.
Finding that balance is key.
So true. But what about this idea of contacting the deceased?
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, that's controversial, right?
Definitely.
And Bizet doesn't shy away from that.
She addresses it head on.
What does she say?
She suggests that sensitives can act as intermediaries, translating between the realms.
Wow.
She doesn't have all the answers, of course.
Right.
But she's presenting these possibilities, for us to consider.
I love that. She's opening up a whole new way of understanding reality,
Totally.
where the lines between life and death are
More fluid than we think.
exactly. But how does that even work? If we're talking about seeing beyond the physical, what are we actually seeing?
Ah, that brings us to the realm of clairvoyant sight.
Hold on. Hold on. Before we get too far into that,
Okay.
we need, like, a clairvoyance 101 lesson here.
Okay, I'm ready.
So what exactly is clairvoyant sight?
Think of it as perceiving information beyond the five senses.
Okay, so we're talking about, like,
Like what?
visions. Seeing things with your mind's eye.
Yeah, like that.
But how do you know if it's real or just your imagination?
That's the tricky part.
All right.
Bizet talks about subjective and objective visions.
What's the difference?
Subjective visions are more like impressions, feelings,
Okay.
whereas objective visions are much clearer, like watching a movie in your mind.
So even with clairvoyant sight,
Mm-hmm.
you can misinterpret things.
Oh, absolutely.
Like thinking your imagination is a real vision.
Exactly.
That's fascinating. It shows even with these abilities, there's a learning curve.
Totally. You have to refine your perception, understand what you're seeing.
So how does someone see clairvoyantly?
Well, Bizet doesn't get into the mechanics of it,
Okay.
but she describes different experiences,
Like what?
like seeing inside the body as if it were transparent to diagnose illness.
What?
She also talks about perceiving symbols, colors, lights, lines,
Okay.
representing different health conditions.
That's like deciphering a secret code within the body.
It is.
There's so much more to explore with this, but what about traveling clairvoyance?
Now that's where things get really mind-blowing.
Tell me more.
Imagine leaving your body behind
Okay.
and experiencing other places as if you were actually there.
Wait, seriously?
Bizet describes soaring over the Mediterranean,
No way.
exploring Keris,
Whoa.
even visiting a Tibetan monastery.
That's like astral projection or something.
Right.
But how do you even know what's real and what's not in those experiences?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
Bizet acknowledges how tough it is to interpret those visions,
Yeah.
to know if it's genuine or your imagination running wild.
So even with these amazing abilities,
Mm-hmm.
you need to be grounded, critical,
Oh, definitely.
not just blindly accepting everything you see or feel.
Exactly. Discernment is key.
It still makes you wonder, though, what else is out there?
Right. Beyond our everyday perception.
This is just the beginning of Bizet's insights, too.
Oh, we've only scratched the surface.
Next, we'll delve into her experiences with communication with the deceased.
Can't wait.
It adds a whole other layer of complexity to this exploration.
I'm ready to be mind-bended.
Me too. Stay with us.
Welcome back, everyone, to our deep dive into Beyond the Five Senses.
I'm ready for more. Where do we pick up?
So, last time we talked about telepathy and clairvoyance,
Right.
and now we're stepping into communication with those who've passed on.
This is where things get really interesting.
Bizet's perspective on death is, well,
It's what?
unique.
How so?
She doesn't see death as an ending,
Okay.
but as a
I
transition
do.
to a different state of being.
Interesting.
And because of her experiences, she approaches this subject with such
With such what?
understanding and acceptance.
That makes sense if you've actually interacted with those who've passed.
Right. It changes your whole perspective.
But what about the grief of losing someone you love?
Bizet acknowledges the pain,
Okay.
but she says understanding the continuity of consciousness can be more comforting than just trying to ignore your feelings.
So it's not about denying the grief.
No, it's about shifting your focus
To what?
to the ongoing journey of the soul.
So instead of dwelling on the ending, we can find peace in the continuation.
Exactly.
But for those of us who haven't had these experiences,
Yeah.
it's hard to grasp this whole etheric body thing.
And this non-physical world.
Right. How does she describe that realm?
She describes the etheric body
Mm-hmm.
as like a subtle counterpart to the physical body,
Okay.
capable of functioning in a realm beyond our senses.
So it's not just floating around on clouds.
Not quite.
There's an actual reality there. It's
Exactly.
just one we can't easily perceive.
It's like tuning into a different frequency.
I love that analogy. But is everything perfect on the other side?
Bizet doesn't present a utopia, no.
So there are still challenges,
She suggests growth and evolution continue,
even after death.
even after death. Yeah.
So it's not about reaching some static perfection.
It's about constantly learning and developing.
I like that it would be kind of boring if we just stopped growing after we die, right?
Right.
But what are they learning over there?
She doesn't get into specifics,
Okay.
but suggests they have a broader perspective.
Unburdened by the physical body.
Exactly.
Maybe gaining insights into the universe we can't even fathom here.
It's possible.
But can they still influence our lives?
Bizet definitely believes so.
Really?
She talks about them offering guidance,
Mm-hmm.
comfort, even warnings.
So it's not a one-way street.
Not on.
They're reaching out to us, too.
It's a two-way communication.
That's comforting to think about.
Right.
But can anyone communicate with them?
Or does it require,
Special ability.
exactly.
What did she say?
Bizet suggests everyone has the potential.
Okay.
But it's easier for those who are more
Sensitive.
sensitive. Yes.
So they're like those finely tuned radios again.
I love that.
Picking up signals the rest of us miss.
It's a good way to think about it.
But what about those who aren't so sensitive? Can we do anything to open that connection?
Bizet emphasizes intention
Okay.
and receptivity.
So just holding the intention to connect and being open to receiving messages
It can create a bridge.
between the realms.
Exactly.
No need for fancy rituals.
Not necessarily.
It's more about our inner state.
Creating that space of openness.
Like tuning our inner radio.
I like that.
But for those who are grieving, how can this perspective help them?
Bizet believed knowing our loved ones aren't gone, but continuing their journey in a different form
Yeah.
can offer immense comfort.
It shifts the focus.
From loss and separation
So
to continuity and connection.
the love and connection can continue even if it's different.
Exactly.
She mentions a story about a mother and her deceased daughter, right?
She does. The mother found comfort believing her daughter was experiencing joy.
In the afterlife.
Yes.
It's a powerful reminder that death doesn't have to be the end of the relationship.
Not at all.
But this idea of two worlds interacting, it's mind-boggling.
It is.
Can you expand on that a bit more?
Bizet says the physical and etheric realms aren't separate,
Okay.
but interconnected.
So thoughts and feelings and memories are flowing back and forth.
Constantly.
It's not two worlds then,
Right.
but different levels of reality existing at the same time.
We're all part of this web of consciousness, both physical and non-physical.
Wow. We're influencing each other in ways we don't even realize.
Exactly.
But if death isn't the end, how does that change our understanding of life itself?
Bizet believed it inspires us to live more consciously,
Okay.
knowing our actions have repercussions.
Beyond this lifetime.
Beyond this lifetime.
It motivates us to be more compassionate
More kind.
because we're all connected.
We are.
It's like realizing we're all in this together, not just now, but across multiple lifetimes.
Exactly.
It's a powerful incentive to make the most of our time here.
And contribute to the evolution of consciousness as a whole.
But this whole exploration of our potential,
Yeah.
it can be a little daunting.
It can.
If we have all these untapped abilities, where do we even begin?
Bizet encourages curiosity and open-mindedness,
Okay.
recognizing the possibilities are vast.
She suggests things like meditation.
Meditation, visualization, paying attention to your intuition.
So quieting the mind, tuning into our inner wisdom,
Exactly.
and trusting those insights, even if they seem weird at first.
It's about embracing the unknown, stepping outside your comfort zone.
But what about fear?
What about it?
I think a lot of people might be afraid of what they'll find.
Fear of the unknown is natural.
What's the antidote?
Bizet believed knowledge is the antidote to fear.
Okay.
Understanding these abilities, the nature of the afterlife,
Makes them less threatening.
It's-
So approach with discernment, but also with a sense of adventure.
and a willingness to embrace the unknown.
Finding that balance between caution and curiosity,
It's key.
this concept of expanding consciousness is vast,
It is.
a bit overwhelming.
Take it one step at a time.
Where do we go from here? How do we integrate these insights into our lives?
Bizet doesn't give a strict roadmap,
Okay.
but even small shifts in perspective can be powerful.
Like what?
Becoming more mindful of your thoughts, words, actions,
Recognizing we're all radiating energy.
and influencing each other.
So living more consciously, understanding our interconnectedness.
It's about realizing our individual choices have a ripple effect.
Affecting not just ourselves, but the whole web of life.
It's a beautiful vision.
It is. We've covered so much ground, though.
We have.
There's still more to uncover. Maybe we need to pause here.
I agree. Let's continue this exploration in our final segment.
Sounds good.
Bizet's insights are so rich.
They are.
They really invite us to delve deeper into the mysteries of consciousness.
And all the possibilities that lie beyond our five senses.
Stay tuned for our final segment, where we'll explore even more profound implications of all this.
I can't wait. This is amazing.
We're back for the final part of our deep dive.
I'm excited to see where we go from here.
We've explored telepathy, clairvoyance, communication with the deceased.
So much mind-bending stuff.
Now I think it's time to try and,
What?
piece it all together.
Yeah, how does it all fit?
What strikes me most about Bizet's work
Yeah.
is how it challenges our understanding of the mind.
In what way?
We tend to think of consciousness as
Hmm.
confined to our individual brains.
Right, limited by time and space.
Exactly. But Bazette's experiences point to something much bigger.
Okay, so we're not just these isolated minds.
Exactly.
It's more like
Huh.
a collective consciousness,
Uh,
a universal mind.
Think of it like a giant ocean.
Okay,
Our minds are like little whirlpools within that ocean,
I like that image.
each one unique but ultimately connected to the larger flow.
And we can tap into that larger flow.
That's what Bazette suggests, yes.
Wow, but how do we do that? I mean, it's one thing to read about it,
Right.
but how do we actually experience it?
She didn't give a step-by-step guide,
Okay,
but she emphasized inner work,
like what?
meditation, visualization, even just paying attention to your intuition
So quieting the mind, tuning in to our inner wisdom,
and trusting those intuitive nudges.
even if they seem strange at first.
Exactly. It's about embracing the unknown, stepping outside your comfort zone.
And connecting with others on this path, right?
Absolutely. Having companions on the journey can make all the difference.
This whole idea of interconnected consciousness has some big implications, though.
It does.
If our thoughts and emotions are affecting each other,
Yeah.
it really raises the stakes.
For how we live.
Exactly.
Bazette believed our choices have repercussions beyond what we can see,
We're all part of this tapestry of consciousness.
and the quality of our contributions matters.
So we're not just responsible for ourselves anymore.
It's about the well-being of the whole
web of life.
A whole web of life, yeah.
It's a little daunting, but also inspiring.
It is.
It's like we're all working together to evolve consciousness.
Exactly.
So what's the takeaway? What should we do with all this?
Bazette's work invites us to expand our sense of responsibility,
Okay.
to recognize that our individual actions matter,
Because we're all connected.
because we're all connected.
It's a call to be more mindful,
More compassion.
more aware of the impact we're having.
Exactly.
L. Marjorie Bazette's Beyond the Five Senses.
It's a powerful book,
It is. It's like a roadmap to exploring the hidden dimensions of ourselves.
and the interconnectedness of it all.
It's a journey beyond the five senses.
A journey into the heart of consciousness itself.
Well, listeners, we encourage you to keep exploring these ideas.
Keep questioning, keep diving deep,
There's a whole universe within us waiting to be discovered.
and who knows what we might find.
Until next time, keep exploring,